Welcome to the Donna Seebo Show. Donna is an international mental practitioner, psychic, award-winning author, counselor, speaker, teacher, and radio television talk show personality. She brings to the airwaves talented people from around the world who share their insights and experiences with you, the listening audience. Now, let's join Donna.
Hello and welcome. This evening we have a wonderful opportunity to be inspired. Now that may sound a little grandiose, but I really mean it. My guest, 𝐬𝐿𝐫𝐿, is a young man who was diagnosed with autism. Now, so often when people are given a label, it makes them feel like they have to live that label because someone has designated it. Well, autism many times is looked at as a disability. But I've known some individuals that have had autism that were far removed from being, in my view, handicapped or disabled. And I would have to say that that is what I would think about 𝐬𝐿𝐫𝐿. His book, Unstoppable, is about being autistic, but never giving up on your dreams. And we're going to find out what his dreams were and when and how he was inspired to write this second book. Yes, he's already been published with the first one, and Unstoppable is book number 2. I want to welcome to the show 𝐬𝐿𝐫𝐿. Matt, this is really quite a book. Do you mind if I call you Matt?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Matt, when you were growing up, how did they find out that you were autistic? Did you go through certain testing? What happened to you?
Yeah, I was first diagnosed with a speech delay, and I had preschool intervention program and a few years of special day classes, and about that time when I was 6, they tested me and gave me the diagnosis.
Wow. So you were 6 years old. Now, you're 6 years old. They put that label on you. That was something that you didn't buy into, did you? You were determined that you weren't going to let that stop you. Where do you think that determinism of attitude was started? When or what was it that made you say, I don't have to be limited by a label?
Well, in the beginning, I was more like observing my peers in class, like my classmates, and seeing that I kind of seem a little different than them. And when I got older is when I fully realized what I have. And that was around high school age. And by that point, I started to become an advocate. And it's hard to explain, but it was just in me that I had a purpose despite the label of autism. And part of it, I believe, is going out and voicing or advocating for ourselves.
Well, I think that what you've done is just absolutely phenomenal. Now, there's another side to you. You are a juggler, and you also have played the piano. My goodness, who would have guessed that your being a juggler would actually empower you in one of your big dreams, and that was to be a teacher. This is something that was quite exceptional, and you've got your award-winning book, you've got 2 science degrees, you've got a full math credential from the state of California, you became involved with social media, and you've got a huge following on your Instagram page and also on YouTube. When you were starting out and in elementary school, you were interested in juggling, and you were also playing the piano. So why juggling? How did that evolve for you?
The juggling started because my aunt likes airplanes. So she went to an air show one day and brought back some souvenirs. One of them was a ball that I started to toss up and down, and I started with 1, and from 1 I went to 2, and then 3, and then by 6th grade I was in my first juggling talent show.
Amazing. Now, you participated in that, and your family, what was it like for them? Because often when parents are told that a child has, quote unquote, a learning disability, there's all of these labels that we put on people. Were they very supportive of you exploring different arenas of interest?
Yes, I'm really indebted so greatly to my mother. She was there from the beginning and has helped me and advocated for me all, growing up in school and going to IEP meetings and talking to the teachers, and then giving me opportunities in life and teaching me life skills. So I'm very, very thankful for my mother.
Well, I think that she deserves not just an award, but a trip around the world or something, because she probably did a lot of talking with a lot of people. Autism, Asperger's, there's so many different terms that can have so many different levels of meanings. And in my view, you're one of these high-performing autistic people. However, you had to work very, very hard. And that is what your book, Unstoppable, is all about. You wanted, even when you were just a little tyke, from what you said right at the very beginning in your book, you played school. And all of us, when we're young, usually we have our imaginary friends or our games that we play where we pretend we're doing certain things. And for you, it was talking to your stuffed animals, as you describe it, and you were teaching them. You were a teacher. You were teaching them. This I found very interesting, because this passion for teaching, for education, for enabling people, especially younger people, to know that they can achieve their dreams. They're going to have to work for them, but they can achieve them regardless of the obstacles. That's what your book, Unstoppable, is really all about, isn't it?
Yes.
When you were teaching these invisible students, it was something that when you were told that you would go to college and you would be spending years in school to be able to attain your aspirations, why did that not discourage you? How is it that you were able to hold on to that dream?
Well, it's I just felt that was in me since the very beginning. Like, again, it was early elementary school when I picked up writing and wanting to be a teacher, and it's hard to explain other than the fact that I think it's something like I was destined, and that in my heart is what propelled me, what motivated me to keep going in that direction in education.
Mm-hmm. Now, by the time you were ready to go to college, and of course in school today they'll often say, well, you've got to figure out what you want to do when you get out of high school. Most of us don't have a clue. We'll make something up, and there are so many young people that end up going to college and they really don't know what they want. They'll pick a major, maybe their family tells them this, that, or the other, but that's not it. Now, when you were going into an academic counselor, you were very, very good in mathematics, and you were divided. You had thought you might go into medicine, but then you also wanted to teach. Now, I find it's fascinating how you would play teacher when you were younger, and then as you were getting older, you come to this divide, which I think many people experience, and you go, really, where do I want to go? Which venue? Because let's face it, education is expensive. But you made the decision to go into that academic arena for teaching, and you dropped the medical passion that you felt you had. What was it that caused you to drop the medical environment?
Well, it took a few years. I all of a sudden my teaching passion, like wanting to be a teacher, just really, hit me again. And it's like, this is what I want to do. And a few years later, knowing that I'm putting more focus in the teaching aspect, my medical passions just plummeted. I mean, I still have a respect for the medical field, but I'm not as passionate as I once was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I think you were very fortunate that you were able to figure that out. But to become a teacher, then you had to decide on what you wanted to teach. Why is it that you chose middle school? Most people that are teachers in today's world moan and groan about middle school to students because they're in their teenage years, they're restless, they just don't know how to stay focused many times. Why did you decide on middle school rather than high school or going the other direction, elementary?
Interestingly enough, I thought I was going to do elementary for the first few years, but then by 2016, I felt called to do middle school, and it's just that age range that I believe that, maybe I could do my best in helping encourage them in that part of their life, and to that here's a teacher that cares for them and also am passionate to teach these subjects. And I'm not sure, it's just one of those things that was in me that I also felt like this is part of what I was called to do. Like maybe I could be that teacher to encourage them also to try their best in high school as well. So
when you were going through this process of finally determining what it was that you wanted to do, you also were engaged, and you'd done volunteer work for a long period of time. You were doing all kinds of activities with an organization. What was it called? It was something Rangers, the Royal Rangers. Tell us about them and why you were so passionately engaged with that group.
Royal Rangers is like a Boy Scouts. It's a faith-based ministry, and they teach you survival skills. They teach you leadership skills, and it was merit-driven, so you earn merits, and then after merits you earn medals, and it was very, very fun and rewarding, and it really gave me a lot of chances and opportunities in life. And then after 13 years in the program, I earned their top medal, and that was around the time I graduated high school, so I was able to come back as a commander, and they allowed me to do so. They allowed me to teach, so I got some of my early teaching experiences starting then, and I taught a lot of merits and was kind of paying it forward for what they've done for me in my life.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is very important to you. You love to teach. You absolutely, thoroughly enjoy being with young people, the middle school level. You enjoy the challenges that they present, and you find that because of many of the people that you interacted with, that this inspired you to eventually evolve using your talents, including your juggling, to get attention and to educate. So there was a mixture of fun and mathematics of different types that you introduced to your students. This was something that took you a number of years to work out. And during those years, and let's look at 2017, you became very, very discouraged. You went through a very serious, I'll call it a dark period. So this was even before COVID. You had had so many disappointments, and you bring that out in the book, and you don't try to sugarcoat anything. You tell it as it is. You'd gone through bullying, serious bullying. You had all kinds of different reactions from people because you were different. Let's just use that word. You were different, but you were very, very focused. And there was a lot of emotional pain that you went through because of the labels that people put on you. And bullies are bullies. But 2017 was really a tough year for you. Tell us why it was such a harsh year.
Well, it's because of some of the things that you said that I wrote in my book. There were a lot of negativity that I received, especially that summer in July and especially August. And in August, it was like one thing after the other. And there would be like people that I never met that that would kind of pick on me in a bit just for me walking in the neighborhood. And all of a sudden, I'm just getting these, not from everybody, of course, but some of these negativity. And earlier that year, there was a couple of deaths in the family, and then by the middle of the year, there were a couple of deaths of my close friends that I've met in high school and junior high. And so it's like everything was coming together, and at the same time, I was trying to get my book published, my first one, and it was just taking a long process. And also, I was at OCC taking courses for several years at this point, like a few years at a 2-year college, and I was just getting burned out. And so I had to drop a semester that March. So it's like everything was just being hammered at me from February to August of 2017. But then at the very, very end, like August 26th, that was when I posted my first official YouTube video.
And then you had an opening up of communication that you had not had before. And you were talking about autism. You were talking about the labeling process. And you're on Instagram, you've got your YouTube videos, and you've got well over 100 right now. So here you are developing all of this. This invigorates your life. And there are young people that you have instructed and you've worked with, and they absolutely love you as a teacher. But you were turned down over and over again by different organizations, whether it was a church organization or it was a state. It didn't make any difference. You kept getting rejections until someone said, well, you need a bachelor's degree, you need this, you need that, you need the other. And it just seemed like you had all of these boulders of obstacles that were tossed in your way. And you performed outstandingly on any exams that were given to you, so there was a very distinct bias, if you will. But it's a tough world out there. It's not easy. You kept up your education, didn't you?
Yeah, yes.
How did you make a decision about what you were going to do educationally? What was your first priority when you were looking at attending college? Were there certificates? Was it about the degree first? What was it that you decided that you needed to do so you could get not just your foot in the door, but your whole body into an environment that you were going to be able to do what you wanted to do more than anything else, and that was to teach and empower other people?
I knew that if I wanted to be a teacher, I had to be educated and get at least a bachelor's degree, and that kind of pushed me further. I mean, there's a lot of times going through education that was fun. I mean, I liked what I learned, and the professors and a lot of the students were nice, but at the same time, I was there to get that education and to get those degrees so that eventually I could have the career that I believe I was called to have.
Mm-hmm. And how long did it attain you? You had multiple degrees. So when you look back, how many years did you put into to get those various degrees to get you to where you are today as a substitute teacher?
It took 11 years after graduating high school.
11 years. And in the interim, you did an astronomical amount of volunteer work, not being paid for anything, but you said this was an investment, and you were happy to do it. My goodness, Matthew, there's a lot of people that would not even give that a consideration. They wouldn't bat an eye to do that. However, it enabled you to hone your communication skills, didn't it?
Yeah, it gave me like social skills and communication skills.
I think that...
And leadership.
Yeah, and leadership. That's a big one. What especially did you learn about leadership that enabled you to work so effectively as being a substitute teacher as you are right now? People that I've known that have been substitute teachers say it's just a nightmare. Usually the kids are incorrigible. They will just be all kinds of chaos, and they just don't want to pay attention. They're happy the regular teacher isn't there so they can get away with a lot of stuff. You didn't have that particular problem with them, did you?
No, not much. I mean, yeah, some days I do have days where I'm managing classes more, and other days I have like the perfect set of students.
Mm-hmm. And you worked in different environments prior to that. Now, your first book, what was the title of the first book? And this was about autism, but what was that about? Because this is book number 2, Unstoppable. What was book number 1 about?
My first book is titled Juggling the Issues, and I call it an anthology or a collection of short stories where each chapter, there's 29 of them, and it's either a pro, a con of autism, like a plus or a minus, and also I talk about the Royal Rangers in a couple of those chapters and what they've done for my life, and then I explain some catharses, like piano playing, how that got started, and juggling, how that got started, and artwork.
Mm-hmm. I was not aware of April the 2nd being recognized at World Autism Awareness Day. Why was that so significant for you? Because this came up at the very beginning of the pandemic. And the pandemic started, on, what was it, March 20th of 2020? There was a particular date specifically associated with the pandemic.
I think it was March 11th.
March 11th, okay. And this is something that really set a lot of what you had been working towards, which had to do with your first book. And you won an award for the best quality research in your book. You decided you were going to do videos regarding autism, and you call them Autism Awareness and Acceptance videos. You had already decided you were going to do that when the pandemic hit. And you say it was fun to be able to put them together. What did you do? Were the videos like 5 or 10 minutes, or were they an hour long? When people go to look at them, what's the time designation? Did you set out with a certain plan?
It depended on the subject for the matter, like specific subjects for autism. So sometimes it lasted a few minutes, and other times it lasted like 30 or 40 minutes. It just depended on the topic at hand. And I just thought of different ones and made videos, and I just put it out there for whoever wants to watch. And I was hoping to be an encouragement to a lot of people, and in the beginning some people decided to watch and leave positive comments, well, mostly positive comments.
Mm-hmm. You actually were teaching also. You were on Zoom for quite a while, and you were working with teaching astronomy, chess, all kinds of things.
Yeah, it was virtual Royal Rangers, so it's still Royal Rangers, but we couldn't meet in person. So I was teaching the astronomy merit and the railroading merit and anything else that I could do virtually. So I think I taught about 8 merits within that year.
Mm-hmm. So that really benefited you and enabled you to eventually, as you mentioned earlier, acquire the positioning of being a commander. There is a very touching chapter in your book, and it's about suicide. And this is not something that you ever wanted to do, but you knew of other young people that were very much of that thinking process. They were depressed. And you became quite upset about it. And one of the reasons you became upset about it is that you wanted to give talks and people just were not opening up to let you give presentations to young people. How did you overcome that?
I've always desired to also not just teach on like via YouTube or Royal Rangers, but I wanted to do assemblies, and I was hoping that my book would probably help get me out there a bit more. And I was still not really asked to speak except for a couple of times, and I made a lot of communications desiring to speak. And then the pandemic happened, so that was kind of right after I got my book published, so that's another reason why I couldn't really speak much or go to places in person. But I was very passionate to spread autism awareness and disability awareness and inclusion and talk about my firsthand experiences. And way after that, like in 2023, I started to get more assemblies. And to date, I have spoken to over 10,000 students across Orange County, California, and 500,000 more to go. My ultimate goal is every school, public and private, in Orange County. And I was just hoping to bring that encouragement because, as you were just saying, there is a topic of suicide that I addressed, and in 2021 I did lose a close person to me as a result, and I just wanted to do my best to, help people.
Your YouTube, you actually started making money because there were more and more people that were subscribing. What is it? When you have 1,000 people that have subscribed, they start to pay you? I don't know what the number is, but from what you said, once you hit that 1,000 subscriber notice, that was pretty powerful. And you have, over 100,000 followers on Instagram? And what you say about this, you say, I'm not interested in becoming rich and famous. I'm interested in helping people, and especially helping people to understand that autism is not what often they think it is. And it doesn't mean that you cannot achieve whatever your dreams might be. Eventually, you got your certification so you could be a substitute teacher. You're wanting to have a full-time positioning eventually. But look at what you have accomplished. You have really gone above and beyond what most people would not even have the wherewithal or the determination, and I call it pluck, that you have had. You weren't going to give up no matter how many setbacks you went through, and you went through a lot of setbacks because of the labels that people wanted to put on you. And it came from all kinds of corners of life experience. But you refused to give up. And here you are today, having accomplished that objective of being a teacher, and it's really getting better and better for you. When you look at the journey you've gone through, do you have any regrets of any kind, or do you say, no, what I'm living is today, and this is what I've got? What are your dreams that go beyond just being a teacher? What is it you really would like to reach for next?
Yeah, I would love to be a full-fledged teacher within the next few years, but I recently talked to my university expressing interest in being a math professor since I just got a master's degree, and they're happy about the idea, and they'll contact me on their decision in March. And at the same time, I'll plan to still sub and do some volunteer work and post on social media and just pursue those passions.
Now, TikTok, I became aware of the fact that was going to be closed down, but you said that TikTok was opened back up. Is that correct?
Yeah, like it was closed for maybe, I think, 15 or 16 hours, and then it just came back.
Interesting. But you want people to know that they can find you on Instagram, and also on YouTube. And if they use your name, Matthew, M-A-T-T-H-E-W, 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭, K-E-N-S-L-O-W, then they will be able to find all your videos. And if there's anyone that is listening that has friends or family, or maybe they are a teacher and they have students that have autism, I think what you're doing is such an inspiration. And the various organizations that are associated with autism, I would expect they'd like to have you as a speaker, because what you have done is you have proven that a disability, a label, does not define you. This is something that I think is quite exceptional, and my goodness, wouldn't it be wonderful if we would take a different attitude about ourselves, because almost everybody has some kind of disability, one way or the other, and realize that that does not define us. We define who we are, and that's what you've done, Matthew 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭. I'm so delighted that we've had this chance to have this conversation, and if there's a parent listening or someone listening that knows of anyone that has Asperger's, autism, there's so many different descriptions that are given, they need to know that this gives inspiration. And I think for a teacher, it's a wonderful story to be able to share with people. You've done a great job, Matthew 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭, and I really hope that your dreams are going to become a bigger and better reality than you could have ever have imagined. Congratulations on a job well done, and on your new book, Unstoppable: How One Person with Autism is Never Giving Up on His Lifelong Dream to Become a Teacher and a Worldwide Influencer. Congratulations again, Matthew 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭. Thank you for being my guest.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
This is Donna Seebo. We're saying goodbye to Matthew 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭. We're going to be taking a break. Don't forget to check him out on Instagram, YouTube video, MatthewKinslow.com. And we are going to be back in just a moment.